Hello and welcome back to another Betting Bankers live stream. We're here to discuss all things sports gambling related with a focus on soccer, horse racing, NFL and NBA. We share our bets before the event starts and then we monitor the progress as the action happens. Let's get cheering on those winners and making some money.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Betting Bankers, our usual time at just before around 8 o'clock on a Friday. How's everybody getting on?
Good.
I love that. Our usual time of around kind of a bit before 8 o'clock on a Friday.
I was going to say, I think it's our first time ever actually at 7:45. But just before
at least we're consistently inconsistent, right?
Exactly, yeah. Before we dive in, I just want to go on the record, Gary. You have a bet that's already in play.
So about 12 minutes in, the Berlin derby, Hertha versus Union. So anybody who tuned in on Wednesday will know that we said Union were a good bet.
So we said Hertha were a good bet.
Sorry?
Thought we said Hertha was the good bet.
No, Union. It's still kind of just settling down really in the first 10 minutes. But still fancy Union. It's a good bit of money for them today actually because they were it was 6-4 just before kickoff. So you don't often see movement like that for an away team in a football match. So
it's always a good feeling when you get on it early like that.
Yeah. You kind of
we didn't get on it early, though. That's the only slight difference. But yeah, it was a good call.
Yeah, but you get a bit of confidence that other people are thinking the same way as well, which is never a bad thing.
So yeah, anyway, we've got that. Now that we've got that on the record, you had a couple of early bets that have already kicked off and even finished. Did you mention during the week? They look pretty good.
Yeah, they weren't bad. I mean, I had Camber to win, who actually drifted the opposite of what you were saying, Gary. Just slightly. They went from I think they were 4-9 and they drifted to 1-2. So you'd kind of be, maybe kind of wondering was there something up there, but a much slighter move really. Late enough, they won all for a long time and scored in what I think around the 70th, 80th minute early in the second half and equalised in the 60th, and then got a winner in the 80th minute. But that's not to be not too unexpected in Dutch football, like where there's goals flying everywhere. So
yeah, just for anyone watching eagle-eyed, the combo bet that we have shared on screen does actually say Hertha, but that has since been rectified to the bet is Union, even if the screenshot says Hertha, because
if Hertha
admin
win,
issues in the background. But we claim it as a moral victory, but I now have a bet with Hertha in it in the group now as a bet with Union in it. Right? So
a typo.
Yeah. So it's a slow enough start there. At least it hasn't been any goals in the first 15 minutes. I think derby matches tend to go a bit like that, don't they? They're very slow to light up.
I didn't know it was your mate Ganduzi playing for.
Yeah. Right in the summer. Go off on a tangent about Ganduzi if I had all the time in the world, because you look at that Arsenal midfield and it's so lacking this season, and I think Arteta just took a dislike to him and he had a few disciplinary issues at the end of last season and he was pretty much frozen out. And I think the team is crying out for a player like him.
All right.
Yeah, and he's a fan favourite. The fans loved him. We've talked about it before. When managers come in now, it's sort of the done thing. You make a statement and you freeze a couple of people out and you make bold squad decisions. And I think Guendouzi, he was ill-disciplined. He got sent off at a very inopportune moment. He kind of had a visible disagreement with Arteta on the sideline after he came off the pitch. And I think after that, there was really no way back from him. But from the squad point of view, I think it's pretty unfortunate because they really could do with a player like him the minute. But yeah, I think he's doing well in Germany so far, so best of luck to him.
Yes, sir.
On air.
Mark is the lurker in the background. I hadn't seen you join us.
Going for a game of rugby after, is he?
Is that the actual Clontarf jersey?
Yeah, he's gonna be buried in that thing. Every Friday I nearly got run back in our same company days. The relic.
It was navy and red, and it's sort of drifting towards blue and orange as the years go by.
It's a staple of the wardrobe.
Rugby shorts making a bit of a comeback. They were a big trend in the 90s, I think, weren't they? And then
Colours all around.
Yeah.
Collared shirt is even on his non-uniform days. Actually, he always wears a collared shirt.
Call yeah. Still do, PK.
Oh, I know what. I've seen it enough.
Not a t-shirt, man.
Zulte Waregem have the red dot on flash score that usually indicates a goal is about to come. I mentioned them during the week that they were a huge price. It just didn't really make sense that they've gone ahead now. So that one was we recommend. I think in the end we recommended the 8 to 15 over 2.5, which seems like an ideal start when the underdog scores first. It's a nice and early goal in Belgium.
What game is that, Audi?
Zulte Waregem against Anderlecht.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Anderlecht.
On my dodgy box here, it's actually the only game of soccer I have that I can watch.
Oh yeah.
So I've actually decided to watch the quarterfinals of the UK Open Snooker UK Championship. So
who's playing in that, PK?
It's Judd Trump and Kyron Wilson. It's actually a very good game, but Trump is destroying it at the moment 3-0. So yeah, it's just been one-way traffic, to be honest with you. But first to 6, so it's an uphill battle now. But hopefully Wilson's a good player though. I like him. Hopefully he makes a bit of a comeback.
I like Trump. Generally would.
I don't either, but Wilson's been good the last couple of years. So this is a good matchup for styles and stuff. If you were just to watch us, if you were to pick 2 snooker players for
Union just scored. We seem to have lost Gary at the exact moment. Union Berlin. So thank God.
Oh,
I amended that bet when he said it. I would have been in serious hot water myself.
Yeah. Why were you going to go with Hertha? I missed all the chat today.
So I misunderstood and I backed Hertha, and then he actually wanted Union, and I only realized he said he backed Union then on air, and I thought that doesn't sound right. But anyway, we changed at the last minute, so we are good. And thankfully we did the little segment where we cut to them before. We didn't want to get accused of after time, so that has paid off almost instantly.
Did you see that, Gary? Drop 1-0.
The 1-0 lead after 20 minutes. I was actually just flicking into Bet365 just before they scored, and they drifted back out to 2-1 and running because Hertha had actually started very well and had a couple of chances. So yeah, I think that we said on Wednesday, the best thing that could happen after the Hertha's bad run of form was an early goal, and then their heads had dropped. So I'm hoping that happens now, and Union can get a couple more in the bag and make it a safe victory.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideal, really.
Yeah. Hertha's home form is brutal. I can't see them coming back to win, that's for sure.
Well, hopefully not.
No.
Suspended here again for me, but I don't see anything actually happening.
No, not on flash score. The other games are kicking off now. You have in 5.
Yeah, it's the Serie B game. You went for over 2.5 in that LB, did you?
Yeah, so gone with 2.5. I think Pescara are kind of overpriced at 5-2, but I mean they're not great this season, and they weren't great last season, but they do have a very good head-to-head against Ascoli. So I just thought the goals was a safer one. They both concede an awful amount of goals, so a little bit dry up front, but I think against an obliging opposition, they'll both probably find the back of the net. So I think I think 2-1 Pescara probably is my call on the game, but I think take the safe 23-20 for the goals.
Yeah, I think the suspension in Germany is a potential red card for Union, which could throw a spanner in the works. So it was kind of bouncing ball. The Union guy went in with a high foot, and the Hertha guy was heading it, and he caught him with his foot on the head. So I don't know whether the ref is going to go to VAR here or not. The two guys are down on the ground, injured. So
surely just a yellow. Surely.
Hopefully, but
if it's anything like the referee decision who ref the Fred incident against PSG, it's only going to be yellow.
It's a red card, all right.
Oh no!
Sick now.
Then hold on. 1-0 all day.
This is actually one we should eye up the multiple for potential cash out if teams get ahead. We don't want to be sitting on that 10-man Union.
10 men, and as that match goes on, they'll be getting tired, and the extra man will be,
Exactly.
It's actually really unlucky because he gets the ball, like he flicks the ball away and then catches the guy on the neck afterwards. So it probably is a red, but there was no malice in it whatsoever.
It says here video ref reviewing red cards. So, from my read of that, it's like the ref has given him a red, but now VAR is saying maybe it shouldn't be a red. Maybe they're really
they can do that.
I'm like a minute behind on this stream. I would be so. We'll see now.
But there has to be intent, for it to be a red card.
No, but the rule is just if you endanger the player.
Yeah.
So reckless,
even inadvertently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it does look like the ref is going to VAR here now. So he has his finger up to his ear anyway. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Oh, it's.
You imagine
it's
VAR can only be
annoying.
We're back in
VAR
play.
Can only be stepping in there if they think it's not a red, right? I mean, if the ref gives a red and then VAR step in, they must have a different opinion, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how you connect there. What's that, Lee?
What minute are you watching there?
25.
I'm just gone 24 minutes.
It seems to be held up, boys.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
Yeah, it is.
There's no way that's going to be reversed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not dangerous in real life. It's not dangerous, but if your foot is making connection with someone's neck or face or head, they'll give it as a red. I think, Lee, the definition is reckless is a yellow, and danger is red. That's it. Doesn't matter how it comes about.
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, that's the rules. I'm not sure if that's the conservative old man centre back that you might be, Lee. You might have a different interpretation of it.
Couldn't reckless and come on? Well, isn't reckless a subset of endangering? Really?
Yeah, but a yellow then would be.
No, we're talking about intent.
A yellow would be beneath the red in the same way. Then
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it again because I tend to be on the. I tend to give less. My mind is far less actual penalties than I give them, but something's interpreted.
Yeah,
red cards too.
Yeah, loads of it.
I do like that when you watch the old games back and there's people like jumping over tackles, and now they're leaving their leg behind, trying to get hit so they can go down and claim it.
I mean, it's amazing. And on the pitch, like when you see them, the ball bobbling around on the pitch, like it's actually crazy.
Yeah. So the rest of the matches should be kicking off just about now. We left Marseille out of it in the NPK. You decided that they weren't the call. Bilbao were a more favoured choice.
Well, just to put in a selection, I prefer Bilbao. Bilbao at home are very strong, and like I said, I think they're overpriced. I went through it again since, and I can't figure out why they're the price they are. I suppose I'm going to figure out now when they lose 2-0. But to me, they just look like good value at home against an average team away. Like Bilbao are just very strong at home. So yeah, I just thought they were, because as well Marseille playing midweek as well, and they're away from home. I just thought Bilbao was better value and probably a safer bet.
They've drifted as well from just about evens out to 13-10. So hopefully you get the same road with the green that Slash got.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. So it was a very bold change of plan. Now our focus is on Inverness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of underrated Go Ahead until I looked at their stats, and I'm leaning that way myself now. But you're the Scottish expert, so I mean, you haven't got a Scottish call wrong for us in weeks, Lee. So
yeah,
That 14-1 shot,
I need something. I'm nickname after turning the 14-1 show into a loser or into a no bet.
They've actually come in considerably, Inverness.
They're dominating that game. They've had all the chances, really.
16 minutes in. It's on live on BBC Scotland if anyone wants to watch it.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's like I mean, they've played 5 games in the league so far. So, but I was surprised at that when I seen it the other night. Only 5 games so far.
Some of the leagues are all over the place, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
2 early chances in Italy anyway for Pescara, Albie. So
I'm actually looking at here. I might jump in and back. To be honest, I looking at them again, I just don't see how they're that priced. Like that. Yeah, so I'm actually probably going to back to myself.
Who?
Pescara.
Other than the fact that they've lost, they haven't won in 16 away from home.
Yeah, but it's against Ascoli. The last time they went there, they won, and they're miserable, generally speaking. So I think that they're going to be a call. I like over 2.5 in the other one as well, but I just think I don't want to double up on the same bet.
I mean, I like the over 2.5 bet, but like Pescara haven't won in 16 and lost 15 of them away from home. I don't know how you could back them with any confidence.
They have to win away at some stage.
That's what we're about. Yeah, they have to win away at some point.
They're due a win.
Well, there's that angle, yeah.
Which
This
basically
is
gives you every angle. You're either backing them because they're in form or you're backing them because they're out of form.
Yeah, just a back.
Yeah. You know, sometimes just throw the stats out the window and go with your gut. Fuck it. I don't mind that either.
Are you doing it, LB? I haven't seen you bet this quickly in a while now. It's only when you have your own little...
You missed earlier. I managed to pull the trigger quickly, but I pulled it on the wrong bet. So I might have to go back into slow and steady. Or relinquish my position in the hot seat.
I think we're going to keep an eye on in-play bets too, aren't we, to see if we can get our rolling, our bank rolling again.
Yeah, if anyone has any suggestions, throw them out.
I'll be keeping an eye. There's not much there just yet.
Bit early yet, but I mean, Pescara are dominating there as well. They're 2 shots on target and shot off target.
Yeah, I was going to actually say that. So that's like a goal in that game is 1-12, which I know we're already on goals in the over 2.5, but like given how the first 3.5 minutes that I'm watching here has gone, you'd be shocked for there not to be 1 goal in the game, like, you know.
Yeah, even over 1.5 there at 4-11 looks pretty decent too.
Yeah, it was tempting, like.
The Bilbao game has gone suspended. Is anyone watching that?
Bilbao, no.
Just look into it here.
No, it's back again.
Is it?
There's a free kick, but it must have been an impossible red card. No, because there's no yellow. I know.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was looking at my dodgy box there to see what I could watch, and I just seen that and I forgot all about it. But I'm not
You're
sure.
Totally legal dodgy box.
Yeah.
Watching.
Highly legal, but it's good.
Any guards watching? That's
any guards. You don't even know what country he's in.
any Canadian Gardaí, call on over.
Mounties, is that what they're called?
What?
Mounties.
Yeah, Mounties.
Yeah, in certain, I don't know what state they're in, but yeah, they're called Mounties in some places. All right. Weird.
Any interactions with the Mounties, PK?
Nah, none. Except for the time.
Except for that time.
Yeah, when Ferg visited last, remember? Just that time.
Remember it well. Yeah, you gave us all a scare. Dancing like that. So, yeah. I mean, there's not much happening in this Berlin game at all. Union Berlin are just sitting back a lot.
That's good though.
That's all you get.
There's nothing happening. Right,
We said it
boys.
last week. There's never anything good to come from a red card. Even if you backed Hertha, it doesn't even really work out.
No, you'd be.
Inverness 1-0.
Ah, lovely.
Lovely.
They lifted to 11-10.
Go on, the Scottish King.
Go on, what are we calling them? The
Let's
Netties?
start calling you William Wallace.
I was the next king of Scotland.
Mr.
Brilliant.
Wallace.
Robert the Bruce.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, Union Berlin slotting into a nice back five there. I assume they didn't start with five at the back, did they?
I don't think so, no.
There's no.
I don't
on
mind them having
Betfair
a back
PK.
10 as long as...
The Inverness goal is gone.
Oh,
On Betfair.
maybe.
Oh no, it's up again.
Right.
No, it's still there on Betfair.
Yeah,
They don't have VAR in the lower leagues, so it has to be. I think it's a goal.
Amazingly, our combo bet for the night is cashing out at a loss, considering 2 of the 5 teams are winning. It's a bit of a strange one.
I think it's
And
the
red card.
red card, like.
but even still, like Union are lower odds than they were when they started. So
Yeah, they're 7-5 now. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always at least a 30%.
I mean, probably ahead to the win, but like, I don't know. Yeah, it's a strange one.
I mean, it's definitely the worst capital city in Europe for football, isn't it? Berlin.
It's the only country.
Is it the capital? It's not even the capital, actually. Is it? Bonn is the capital of Germany, maybe.
No,
Maybe that's
No, Berlin.
Berlin's
Berlin's the
capital.
capital.
It's the only.
All right,
Martin, what's the capital of Canada? Toronto.
it isn't it shite?
What is the capital of Canada?
Ottawa.
Oh yeah. I knew that. Yeah, they're the only. It's the only country in Europe where a team from the capital has never won the league.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not always even in the top division, are they? I mean, are Union Berlin only recently promoted to the
They're
Bundesliga?
only recent, yeah. And Hertha are only a few years before them.
Yeah, Hertha used to always be in it, but they got relegated about 4 or 5 seasons ago.
Yeah.
The stadium was class, though.
The old one's still there as well, isn't it? The old Olympic Stadium. They didn't knock it when they...
No, so it's kind of built on the same ground as it. And then basically there's a gap in the stands where, like basically behind one of the goals where it goes to the statue where, I forget the guy's name, that got the black guy who got awarded the gold medal off Hitler. That's kind of the famous picture. I forget the name.
Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens.
Yeah.
Home Pierce.
So, yeah, no, it's actually class to go and visit it.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, there must be someone must have done research into why, because they're not even big clubs, are they? I mean, were they ever big, the 2 Berlin clubs? I don't know.
No, I heard they are big. Like, I mean, they get a big following. They'd have, but that stadium is probably 50,000 and it'd be full every week. But it's only €15 to go or something, like, you know, like of all of Germany, it's so cheap. Like, they do it proper there.
Yeah, Germany.
Union will do well because they can finish this match with 10 men. You know that?
Oh yeah.
They're putting fouls in all over the place here. Like,
Pescara on another great attack here. They might actually nick one, hopefully nice and early.
I was going to say about that game, as much as like 1 goal, but for value, what's the odds on a goal in the first half?
Which game?
In the Pescara game.
I'm in it here. Let me quickly check. First half, 6-10 for the first half goal.
The action 10 minutes in.
Pescara. That's tough to call anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, the games after that very exciting start, the games have all got very quiet.
Yeah, you have that. I was going to say that I've seen that Martin Murray and Saunders are fighting tonight. I'm not sure if anyone has any interest in boxing. I forgot all about it, but it's an interesting fight for Friday night, I know. We're very strong. Like I said,
You going to back anything, PK?
I don't think so. I think I haven't even really looked at it, but Saunders should be too good. You would have thought, because Martin Murray's good, and he's fought at world level and for a couple of titles a couple of times. But he's a bit kind of at the tail end of his career, and Saunders is just technically technically he's one of the best boxers in the world. That's why he's a world champion, I suppose. But he's near impossible to hit.
Okay. He's 1-20, Saunders.
Yeah, 1-16. It's a good watch for, but like he's 4-9 by decision or technical decision. Saunders doesn't win by knockout often. He doesn't hold much technical power. Murray's got a good chin. For me, it goes the distance. Like 4-9 is no value either. Like,
it's a big time you were making claims like this. There was a fifth round knockout or something, wasn't there?
Crawford and Kell Brook. Yeah, I was pretty disgusted by that one. Brook just looked like he was in there for money, to be honest with you, man. The ref stepped in a little bit early, in my opinion, too. But like Brook came out of the fight going, "Oh, look, I went out on my sword and all this," and you're like, "Meh." If you had any serious interest, you'd be a bit disappointed in the ref actually stopping it, but he didn't seem to give a crap. So he just went. He seemed to be there for his payday, and that was it.
There he is.
Someone got a bit of background sound there.
Yeah. And come here, the big man Tyson Fury wants out of the BBC Personality Awards.
He's brilliant.
Doesn't want anything to do with it.
This weekend, 2 years ago, I was actually in LA at this fight with Wilder.
What's the story there?
Where he rose from the dead.
Yeah.
Oh, did you go to that?
I was at it. Yeah.
Are you a Spurs fan?
Great fight to see.
No, this is just a jersey. It's just something to have. But now they're going to win the league. I suppose I'll be a fan.
Getting in there early, PK. I like it.
Top of the league, stick on their jersey.
Yeah, this is it, right? Fucking bandwagon champ here. Yeah,
I remember the day, PK, when you took off your Man United jersey and put on the Man City jersey back around 2011. I remember it well.
I've never worn a City jersey. Not that I'd have any reason not to. I just, I won't.
Who do you support for years?
No one really.
Yeah, floating voter.
Toronto FC, man.
How are they getting on this year, PK?
The boys.
Gonzo, thing knocked them out. Nashville SC knocked them out in the quarterfinals. See, that must be in the conference finals. Actually, the MLS. Because
this is the first year for Nashville, isn't it? So they must.
Yeah, it's been a good season, but like, if Seattle are still there, they were still there anyway. And I'd fancy them to win.
Yeah, they're still there. So the last playoff game was today. Minnesota beat Kansas City there, and they're going to be playing Seattle in the next round of the finals on the 13th.
Yeah, I fancy Columbus Crew and Seattle. Over the last few years, they've been the most consistent. So Seattle won it last year again. We just have a look at the price of them to actually win it out, but I don't think it'll be much.
And who's playing over there at the minute as like their exceptional signings or whatever they can avoid the cap for?
Who are you talking about? What teams?
The biggest.
Just in general, like who are the big names from Europe over there at the minute? I can't even think of any who's there.
Higuain is there, right? He's at Miami, I think, right?
Yeah, I think we've seen that in a few weeks. So we're looking at Miami. Where are we? Inter Miami.
Yeah, I can only imagine the size of the gut on him now. Schweinsteiger was at Chicago, not doing much.
Did we talk? Was it this group we talked about the clip of Schweinsteiger and the journalist asking him, did he think now that he'd moved to Chicago that they were going to win the World Cup? And his face is like, what? And then he gets the guy to translate it to him, and he's like, no. And then you was like, but with you, and all your experience, we have a really good chance at the World Cup. He's like, do you mean the Club World Cup? And I was like, no, the World Cup. He's just like, no, I don't think Chicago's going to win it. Man just like such an idiot.
Sorry,
did
we get on Pescara or the goal? I think there might be a penalty to Pescara.
We're on goal.
I'll be good on it for himself, all right.
I think there's a penalty to Pescara here.
It is, yeah.
Told you,
yeah,
PK.
We didn't do the.
You told me.
No, and over half a goal, no.
No, he didn't. It wasn't called out.
It was.
Did you not put the bank off guard to score a penalty in the first half? No, we didn't.
Someone take that account off LB, will it? Jesus.
Gladly.
I thought the sheriff
I don't
was
think he's
taking
trying to
over.
hold on to it.
Yeah, I couldn't be doing a worse job of managing this account, and still nobody has managed to clench it or take it out of my hands.
It's an unwanted job.
How
You
about
only
you?
get sick. And then if you put on a bet that we kind of talked about but never really confirmed and it lost, you'd be getting all the abuse.
Yeah, we've talked about this, lads, in a different context. People kind of very non-committal. You know, I'm liking the look of this horse or this fella for a touchdown or this caught my eye. And then it comes in, you're like, oh, why did you not back it? And you're like, because you mentioned 15 bets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pepper in the place.
Yeah.
The one winner mixed into like 15 different bets. Like,
Yeah. That was a good call on the first half goal, PK. Yeah, lovely.
You're saying there's that much action, you know, it's
Yeah. But you were saying about the stats, PK, and I mean, they could easily go ahead now and lose this match 2-1, but they just have such a good head-to-head against Ascoli, and we watched both of them on air, both of their games last season, and they absolutely just destroyed them. And they obviously have that
edge on them.
kind of, yeah, like a bogey team. So
yeah, it's true. There is bogey teams. I just don't know how much I read into it myself, but yeah, it does. I think it does. It is a factor to look at.
You know, the big one for years in the Premier League was Arsenal going to Stoke. You know, but it was true. Like they wet themselves every time they went up there. So, you know, sometimes it could just be a statistical quirk, but then other times, like if we hadn't watched those matches last season, I mightn't have had the same confidence that Pescara would do well.
It's because Stoke used to rough them up, though, right? Arsenal didn't like them roughed up.
Yeah. But psychological then it takes over as well, isn't it? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, was it even that bad? Like, the roughing up, like, was it just they go and disappear?
Yeah.
I mean, Slater was gas there last weekend when Burnley were away to City, and so the last 3 fucking games in the Burnley City in Manchester were 5-0, weren't they, that you put up?
Yeah, 3 in a row, 5-0, and then the 4th. That's mad, like.
Crazy.
I wonder, like, you know, would the odds change at all because the previous 3 matches?
Taking that into account, yeah.
Because it'd have to be. You'd still be talking, what, 30 or 40 to 1 for a game to finish 5-0?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe not in that game.
Yeah, maybe not. But I more mean, not that it was like incredibly unlikely that it'd finish, that City were going to hammer them, but it could have been 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, 5-1, 6-1. Like, there's so many, you know, if you're getting out that high in goals scored, there's a lot of different options. Whereas a game, you know, you'd see some games and it's either going to be 0-0 or maybe 1-0 to one of the teams, you know.
Yeah.
But
sorry,
yeah, maybe not.
I'm out there because Hertha nearly scored. So
yeah, you see that?
Yeah. Sorry, lads.
Oh, you're grand. You're going to have a good second half sweat on that match.
I know.
Because you'd assume if Hertha do equalise, you know, you wouldn't see Union going on to win it. Like,
no.
That game is over if they score a goal, really, isn't it?
So it's just about hanging in there. Yeah, bring on 3 more defenders for midfielders.
That's what you just want to get the half time now and get a breather because Ganduzi is actually running the show here for Hertha. Like, so we want just, you know, that classic the half time whistle goes and then when it comes out it's just like a lull for the second half. It's kind of what I'm hoping for.
Oh, the go-ahead Eagles, they have gone up 1-0.
Have they?
Were you going to back them, or were you backing?
No, we said go ahead and Inverness over 1.5 in each.
So it's actually everything we've said so far, because we said goals in Belgium, but like I said, Zuldevargem were overpriced. We said Pescara were overpriced. The 2 teams you picked, Lee, are winning. Union are winning. That's some going for the first half.
Not my 1-2 shot Almere City. In fact, not even 1-2 when we backed them, were they?
No, I think with over 1.5 goals, they were 4-11. So I think giving yourself 1-2 is incredibly generous there.
Those 2 numbers are kind of like, one is almost half the other.
Pretty close.
2-11, 1-2. It's kind of
pretty much the same, isn't it? If you just look at it upside down. But the stats go like what we were saying when we were on Wednesday. Like, I mean, both of those games, Inverness and Go Ahead, like there's nothing you can pick when you're looking at the table, and obviously the squads are not too much different. But it was like it's only going on the past history between those two clubs. You know, like obviously there's a lot to happen, but Go Ahead and Inverness just were unbeaten in the last 5 games. They were either drawing or they were definitely winning more. And
Go Ahead are a strange team. They they're not doing particularly well, but they're a kind of an anomaly in a lot of different other teams' stats. So a team would have won all of their home games, but they lost to Go Ahead Eagles, or a team would be awful away, but they got a win against Go Ahead Eagles. Like they've no consistency. They beat decent teams and lose other games then.
I have to say it's a league I've never really looked at, so I have no opinion. But you're making it sound interesting, so
it's definitely a goal-rama of a league.
That's it, and
goal-rama.
Do you remember back in when we all worked for the same people, and we used to do the Friday afternoon and work, send the email around and pick a match each, and we always used to look at that French National League.
I always thought it would just be working flat out. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you'd set us on that fucking 5-year project and then waltzed out the door, so you weren't there. But we always used to go for that league, and that's the most unpredictable league I've ever seen. I'd always track it because it's Friday nights, and you'd have teams like second who've won 8 out of 10 games against rock.
It's the French league, is it?
Yeah, but it's the National League. I don't even know how far down it is. They go Red Star Brest anyway, because I don't know how they came up with the name Red Star. How original of them.
Love it.
It was the most. It's impossible to call that league. I was watching them again tonight. There's goals everywhere, but that's what made me think of it. It's a goal fest this season.
I think it's 3rd division, LB.
Is it?
Yeah, Red Star, yeah. Yeah.
It's a good one. It's always good for a bit of Friday night entertainment, but you'll never make money off it.
What is that Red Star thing the teams do? It sounds like some communist or something.
Yeah,
Belgrade, isn't it?
Yeah, Belgrade was the original one. Now there's about 5 of them. Bucharest, I think, have it as well, don't they?
I couldn't tell you. Belgrade is the only one that rings a bell, but there's definitely multiple Red Stars, Red Bulls, whatever that means.
Red Bulls.
That's like the thing earlier on, Gary, that we've talked about. GBP, whatever that is. It's like Red Star, Red Bull. Yeah.
Oh God, banking jokes already.
Yeah. The worst kind of in-joke.
Yeah.
Jeez, there's a lot of chances going on in that Inverness Queen of the South game.
Hopefully all one way, are they?
Well, yeah, I mean, I tell you now, Inverness have 3 shots on target, 7 off target, and Queen of the South just have 6 off target. So, yeah,
but
definitely
again,
favourite.
you never know how those off target ones are. They screamers that are in the crossbar.
Nearly for throw-ins.
That's actually something we'll come on to it later in the show, Gary, about the stats in betting and just the general use of statistics. But it's one of them that, you know, that money ball and all that, like the quality of your stats and like on target and off target really isn't that valuable a stat if you drill into it. You know, like, you know.
No, I actually, there was a good, because on Wednesday I tipped up both teams to score in Bournemouth Barnsley, which was a 5 o'clock game today.
I backed that. Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, I finished 4-0 to Bournemouth. And if you looked at the stats, I think Barnsley had something like 9 shots, like 5 off target, 4 on target. But the chances they created were actually better than the shots. So at least 3 of their shots were like 30-yarders that kind of just dribbled into the keeper's hands. But then they had 4 or 5 opportunities where they played the ball across the 6-yard box and there's people sliding in and like missing it by inches or making contact and it just rolling wide. So their chances that they created were actually better than their shots. But on the stats, if you just looked at shots, you'd be like, oh, they actually had a decent amount of shots on target, you know. So you're right that it's like...
Yeah, I noticed it so clearly last night in the Arsenal-Vienna game. I did it in a same-game multi, and I had Lacazette to score first, which he did, which was actually an absolute screamer. Pepe to have 2 shots on target and score. Arsenal to win the corner, like head-to-head corner by more than 2, so like a -2 in the corner match, over 11 corners, and a few other bits. I did 2 of them. I did a safe one, but in the long one, it came down to, again, both of them failed on Pepe. That he should have scored and he would have got the shot on target. So both legs of that didn't come in. But he had two really, really good chances, and neither of them were a shot on target. One came up as a block shot, and one was just wide. And then in the end, his shot on target was the most tame. It was like, you take it 100 times, he's never going to score the goal. So if you're looking at that, you think, oh, he came so close, he got one. But in reality, he should have had probably 2 goals. So that after just. Oh, and by the way, Anderlecht have just equalised now, so the goals there are looking pretty comfortable.
That's good. That's just going in onto half time nearly, is it? Or
yeah, 42 minutes.
I'd like one more in the Pescara game before half time. I think that would kind of make things look good. And then, like, you'd be thinking about cashing out of it with Union at this stage, or at least if like others look like coming in back in the draw or something like.
The cash out is miserable though.
Yeah. So. But I think if another goal or two go in, that'll spike up, you know. Now, it wouldn't be often that I'd consider the cash out or be going for it, but the way Hertha were on top in the first half, it's a long shot they're going to hold out in the second, I'd say.
Yeah. Let's check it now.
We could do with Almere taking the lead before this cash out anyway.
Yeah.
So we've got Union Berlin to win, and they're winning. We have Inverness to win, they're winning. We have over 2.5 in the Pescara game, that's a goal. We have Atletico to win, that's drawing, and then we're 2 goals short for Almere in the other game. And our tenor is cashing out at 11.1, which is pretty crap. Yeah, but you're right. Like a goal for Almere, and either a second goal in Italy or even a goal for Union on the optimistic counter-attack, that cash out should skyrocket. But
yeah, I'd love a goal in that Pescara game. I'd be more than happy if the Union finishing it 1-0.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we could back that with the rolling bank. Like, it's really looking like another goal is going to come there.
Yeah.
Have we set up the rolling bank yet, or is it to be funded?
No, for the sake of what we're doing on air, we won't bore people with the calculations, but I think it's about a fresh 100. I think we'll call it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we put 90 on to win something.
Yeah.
We'll be taking a tenner out for this bet here. Actually, no, so it'll be 90. We'll call it. I can do some rounding.
Oh, because we put in 100, and then we took that tenner out, didn't we? Or have we taken another tenner out? Is it?
Yeah, we took one out last week and then out tonight.
Right.
We don't want to get accused of after timing and creative accounting when.
Wow, he's about to say. I mean, LB, with your track record, what was the competition we had in the office that time?
The 5 scorers. Oh man, that was like, when you think about like people going around doing like cleaning in the office, and that my test there was an envelope about €1,500 sitting in the envelope at one stage.
I mean, that's not impugn the characters of cleaners or anything. I mean, it could have been anyone.
Oh yeah,
but
actually, it'd be people like me and you going around taking it and then blaming it on the
absolutely. Or our friend who used to enjoy robbing a bar of chocolate from the cafeteria just because he could.
Yeah. Sticky fingers, Michael.
Didn't he take 2 liters cup from the fridge?
Yeah, and knives and forks.
He robbed toilet paper as well. One day, the cleaning staff never locked the toilet paper thing, and he stole a load of that.
That's the brave. Imagine getting caught like by the security on the way out the door, just falling out of your coat, rolling along, and like the toilet paper just with
the big train.
This big
long. Him standing there with his finger in his gloves and white beer.
Yeah. The 5 scorers that we do now it's all pre-paid or pre-agreed upfront Revolut payment, so it's marginally easier to manage.
Yeah.
But, there's actually a good pot this week, Gary. And Slats, you're both in it. Not sure if you've picked your scorers yet.
No, I've actually been bad at it the last couple of weeks. I've left it. I've missed the deadline. I have to leave my previous picks in. So I'm gonna do a bit of research when we're off air and try and bag.
That's something that we should actually look at doing with the viewers on this as well. Is setting up last man standing and 5 scorer type competitions and get a bit of engagement, because I find the 5 score, even though it's an absolute pain in the unmentionables to manage, it's a good competition to watch, and if you're in it, because you can track it all weekend.
Yeah, it's easy money for anyone who joins anyway. There'll be a free 25 quid or whatever the buy-in is for grabs.
Yeah, exactly.
How many have you got in the 5 scores? Have you got in the air? Has anyone got in the air?
I won it earlier in the season, but it was it was a 1 week pot and it was split 3 ways. So I got my money back. Got about half the season.
3 ways after. Oh yeah, it was waiting on Vardy or someone, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I actually
you backed Vardy as well.
I backed him at half time. I think he was 8 to 11 to score, and then he drifted out to 11 to 5. So I lumped about 100 quid on Vardy at 11 to 5 and won whatever that would be. So I got about a full pot worth. But a week before it was won. Somebody got, I think, 800 quid, and I got it then on the measly one. But the thing is, though, I'm actually terrible at it. And considering that I get to see everybody's picks and I get to see who changes, so you can go in and see it, and you see, loads of people had Salah, and then at the last minute they took him out and put in Mane. Even with that inside information, I still rarely get beyond 2 out of 5. So
I didn't realize you used that inside information.
Oh no, I don't.
I didn't think you were using it.
It's no, I saw my picks on earlier.
Oh.
I mean, listen.
We'll move on.
1 win in 4 seasons. I don't think I can be accused of doing anything.
Just to explain the basic concept of it, like you pick 5 goal scorers again in the Premiership, and if all 5 of them score a goal, you win the pot. And if somebody doesn't get 5 scores, the pot rolls on to next week. So we normally, what's the average? We kind of get about 5 or 6 weeks out of a pot.
Yeah, you managed to describe that so succinctly there. I've tried every season. We have to send this massive email out trying to explain the rules, but that 10-second clip, you've just nailed it.
Well, you could pick Aguero to score 2 goals and then 3 other scorers to score 1 goal, so you'd only have 4 players to score 5 goals. I think that's where it becomes more difficult to explain.
Yeah, I found it with a few of the guys in this season who would never have been in it before, and those things are what tripped them up. So it is. Yeah. It's a little bit more complicated than your normal last man standing, but I think anyone who plays even fantasy football would be more than capable of playing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think people enjoy it more because there's more to kind of watch, than just, teams that win or lose. Like last man standing is a good competition as well, but I prefer the goals to 5 scores just because.
Yeah, the last man standing is
so much going on.
So rarely get past week 1 that it's not a particularly enjoyable one for me, but yeah.
Yeah, the last man standing is one of those ones where you really realize how often good teams actually draw matches. You kind of think, they won the league last year. They won every week.
I actually, on the stats that I was telling you guys about, I actually couldn't believe the amount of draws that, as you said, lads, good teams have. It's incredible, Joe.
It is mad.
Arsenal last season had 14 draws.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
But even the season Arsenal went unbeaten, I think they had 12 draws. It's a third of their games, or a quarter of their games were a draw. You kind of talk about it they got a golden trophy or whatever other material trophy, and they, at least a quarter of their matches were draws.
They weren't close to the highest ever points tally for a season.
No, not even remotely close. Yeah. They surpassed that tally before one season without winning the league. One of the years United won it.
Didn't Liverpool, when they came second to City, I think they ended up on more points than Man United had ever finished on. And you know how many league wins, funny.
But I do think that kind of contributes slightly to people talking about how the leagues are less entertaining now than they were. The late 90s.
That there are.
This anyone can beat anyone narrative that Sky Sports are always pushing. It's really not the case anymore with the likes of Liverpool and City. Well, maybe City this season and last season, but they had 5 years there where they probably only lost 15 matches across the 5 years. Was it us talking recently about that AC Milan season in I think 1994? Did we talk about that on
air? I think it was just in a different group.
Or was it? And the goals. So they played 36 games. They scored 35 goals and conceded 15. Something like that.
Who's this?
AC Milan. They won the league. Scored less than a goal a game. Conceded less than a goal every 2. Just imagine the absolute joy.
Rant over.
But I do think, especially when you're used to using the exchange, any sports prices, you just see a bit crap, right?
Yeah.
Looking
Well,
at
I'm talking even more about functionality as well. Like, just like it just isn't good functionality. Like you can't like on Betfair when you go in, you can like look at different markets. You can be like, oh, both teams to score or over 1.5, over 2.5. And in Bet365, it's like a maze to try and find what you're looking for. Do you know that way? Just they haven't got the
their
filtering,
ordering of
like,
games is not intuitive at all. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's 1.24
anyway,
on the exchange, so I've put the bank on that.
Well, what was the critique last week when you clicked into a game to check the odds and kind of went back out, it brought you back to the top of the menu instead of returning you to where you clicked in?
Yeah, so if you go in and it's like you're going by countries, you're going down, Mexico, Netherlands, because you want to get down to Slats' League, and you click into one game and you pick your bet, and you click back out to go to the next game. It just brings you right back up to the top. And
I mean, this is expert troubleshooting. I mean,
expert or degenerate. We'll find out over time. Okay, we're on that anyway, so let's hope for another one.
I would say this is going to come in before halftime, but now that I've said that out loud,
can we keep, like, when it comes in, can we just roll on to something else so we have a live bet for the rest of the football window, or are we going to be?
I think last Friday or the Friday before that we had a particularly impressive run. I do think we're going to up the in-play. So this is for the viewers now. We're going to up the in-play action. So we had been, a little bit of Friday action and then kind of scattering throughout the week and updating people on Twitter and on our site. But I think a little bit of feedback we've had, it's more entertaining. So we're going to stick to the Fridays. Maybe the very rare, when we do a Wednesday night show, we might have a bet then. But more than likely, most of the bets will be on live on Friday. So we have a bank. We're going to start today with a fresh €100 pot in Betfair, mostly exchange bets. Just to, we're going to be upfront about the source we use. And then as we see a bet come up in play, so like this extra goal now in the Ascoli Pescara game, we lump on that. And then, presuming that it wins, we roll the profit and the original stake onto the next bet, and kind of like a rolling accumulator. I think, Slats, you have a target in mind, do you?
Well,
the most conservative of us, so.
I think our conservative end game is $1,000 from 100. Others have been talking about maybe $5,000, which would be $1,000 each. So it's probably between those.
I want the
minus administration fees, by the way.
I like the way 1,000 is our conservative estimate. I mean, for me, our conservative estimate is 110 quid.
Split 5 ways.
Yeah, I like it.
I think
we did very well the last one, and we actually, in truth, we got a bit carried away with ourselves, and we were kind of forcing it. So we had, I think we left the show with about 400. Is that right? We took 100 to 400 last Friday, and then we just kept running throughout the weekend. And then I think on Monday we made a mistake, and that was that. Gary
went on a good run, and it went to his head. Oh, brilliant goal there!
That's Pescara.
I knew that was coming in.
Love it. Just saw it. It's a shame PK has dropped off us because.
Goal as well.
Yeah. Easy, good.
Yeah.
All right. So that's good. LB, where are we now on the payout?
Well, let me check now. That's actually looking pretty good. Good.
Well, if we had 100 quid, that would be up to 23 or something, right?
Yeah. What's his name?
Peter, yeah. We're going to have to say to him about that because he sort of said it, he made quite the point about why would you back Pescara, but we've talked about the stats are not, you can't just go on stats, And I think we probably, for people who are based in Ireland, the UK, or North America, we probably watch the Serie B an awful lot more than most other people.
Yeah, but I mean, in fairness, he was describing it, if you hadn't looked into it, like what did he say? They've
15 away losses in a row.
Yeah, something crazy or something, Even I was like, Jesus, but you stuck to your guns anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's come true. It's not half time in that yet, is it?
No.
Well, just gone 41 minutes now.
Just gone.
And strangely, our cash out has gone down. So now we're looking at a loss. So Pescara, we need one more goal there.
Probably because Hertha Berlin has started back.
Yeah.
But I mean, Union Berlin, their back line of 5 is actually a thing of beauty to see. I mean, it's very fucking organised and fairness. So if they don't play it often, they've obviously done a bit in training.
I'm actually just going to get the game. I put it off at half time, so I was going to get the game back up now. But hopefully they can hold out for us.
But there was not a chance in the first
11 to 10, so that doesn't explain the poor cash out either.
No, I don't know. The Atletico Bilbao game has drifted on, so no.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, they're 8-5 Bilbao now. So
is that kicked off? I haven't been keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, that's nearly half time. 40 minutes in.
Nothing is happening. So
it's not a shot until I mean, we'll see second half.
So we bow back there. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at the two Dutch games that are on, but there's not a huge amount of action there. Just in terms of rolling that back, banter.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to double down on Almere. It's 1-10 for a goal in that game, but the fact that
it's a horrible feeling when you're like that. You know, you feel like you're getting overexposed on something.
Oh, absolutely. If it finished 0-0 and we lost the Roland Banker and the Ake, it'd be pretty sick. I'm still confident, just based on their goals so far this season, but there isn't much action in the front. We should leave that one anyway.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Marseille game. Marseille seemed to be on top there. It's just going into half time. But I just think that potentially Marseille might tire in the second half because they obviously played in Europe during the week, so it might be a dodgy one. But
yeah.
For anyone who is watching, we're going to have a more detailed segment on that later on in the show about teams, how they fare the weekend after a European game. Not necessarily an away game, Gary. I think just any European game is.
Yeah, after the European game, I focused on the Premiership, and it's going to go down really well after Liam's. You can't focus too much on stats, so that's a great tee up for it.
Not just you can't stats are obviously useful, and certainly we look at them a lot here, but there are certain times based on that, if they've lost 15 of their last 16 and are unbeaten or winless away from home, by that logic they should be 100-1. But that's not the case. They're coming up against Ascoli, who are pretty poor, and they've got kind of an advantage over them recently in head-to-head. So
yeah, it's fine, man. I've just been slaving away for the last 24 hours putting those stats together. So.
Yeah, we'll skip over that segment anyway. We're not interested in that anymore.
Nice.
When do you want to, do you want to get on to that now, or?
I was going to, but I think we'll have our fifth member back pretty shortly, so I think we'll have plenty to contribute there. The games have gone.
I'm looking forward to that discussion. I have to say, I'm looking forward. It piqued my interest when I knew it was going to be something we covered tonight.
Yeah,
so we'll wait for this.
Yeah, we'll give it a few minutes, but the games are coming up to half time now, so.
Well, I was having a look at a bit of the rugby that's going on over the weekend, so I could mention a bit of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no!
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to hear it?
Well, I think there's a goal, was there?
Hertha, yeah.
Yeah.
We're certainly going to be in the red in the cash out now.
Boo.
You don't have to worry about Almere so much.
Takes the pressure off.
Yeah. The most massive odds on betting bracket.
It's just so hard to. My cash out is still £9. I'd nearly just take it on the thing. Oh no, there it goes. 2. Oh, yep, that's the end of that.
It's hard to see Union getting another goal there. I mean, they'll be clinging on for the draw there.
Terrible goal.
Just bad goalkeeping.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And then we're talking about the back line there, and they're so fucking narrow, and your man is just.
We talked about it kind of as a joke off air in the WhatsApp group about back in that game, double chance, but like home or away, not the draw. Kind of wish we were sitting on that now.
I mean, nice finish.
Yeah, but the keeper parried it away, and then lay on the ground for a while, admiring the fact that he parried it to the striker.
Yeah, and I mean, surely it's out for a corner, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know whether Union are still out of it, but yeah, it's not ideal.
No, I mean, I haven't seen, like, they had one. I mean, I haven't been watching it fully. I've been glancing over my shoulder. My fucking neck is killing me at this stage. But they've made it out of half once from what I've been watching since the first half.
If you turned your TV around
I
a
can
bit
actually
more, I
see
could watch it over your shoulder. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Colours are a bit bright,
good man, yeah.
Just waiting for the match to end, and then whatever dodgy stuff he watches in his own
Almost.
time falls back on.
Almost, yeah. But yeah, no, I think it's not looking good in that game, in fairness. I mean, obviously their legs are going to go a bit as well.
Yeah, they will tire, won't they? That's what happens.
Absolutely, yeah.
Some nightmare. Fucking red cards, man, I tell you.
Yeah, they're
Hate them.
I mean, there's nothing you can do about it either. Like, it's just, you know, there's always going to be that bit of risk in sports betting. A red card's going to kill you. Like,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, psychologically as well, it's fucking. I mean, I don't know. Like,
the Eagles have just gone 2 up, by the way.
oh, that, yeah.
There's the boys.
Going
So
further
that
ahead.
would have came in. So we need another goal in Inverness for the double.
Oh yeah, because you actually said both of those with over 1.5, Lee.
Yeah.
I think that was 10-1. Your 2, by the way. That's why they didn't go in as a combo, because they were a bit too juicy for our conservative appetites.
About 10 points too juicy.
Yeah, it's a great call though.
I mean, it was an inspirational choice in the pick of the games. I mean, there's not much to go on.
Yeah.
And not by me, by the way. Sorry, just for anyone who's watching and thinks I'm trying to claim I picked them. I didn't actually.
They were assigned.
Again, yeah, we have a slight hierarchy in this group. I'm not sure if people can pick it out from watching the video.
It's actually the order on the screen, by the way, if anyone's wondering. So don't. It's just like a waterfall. No, that's a joke, also.
Well, it's one of these jokes that's a joke with truth.
Union.
Yeah. I thought they had a show for a pen there as well. Hold on.
Break the picket line.
So,
Has it been given? No.
No, he went down.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's good to see them in the box anyway, at least.
This game, if they're going to go for it, and you kind of hinted that they might, Gary, as soon as that equaliser went in, that's a game that you could be looking at for another goal. I mean, I think we should stay away from it with the rolling bank, but if they open up, having been so tight for 40 minutes, and they're going to go for it, it might be one that if they don't get it, they'll at least get caught in the counter from our point.
Yeah. Keep an eye on it anyway. As you said, couldn't have enough invested at the minute. I've a bit invested offline too, so.
Surely once PK gets back online, he'll have some in-play action for us to go on anyway.
I think the Almere game is going to open up. I'll be looking at that myself.
Yeah.
I think Pescara, so I know I said to you they beat them with 5-1 over the last 2 games. It was actually 4-1, 2-1 and 2-0. I think that game could stay 2-0. I wouldn't be looking at another goal there. It is the stereotype of Italian football to sit back, but they don't score a huge amounts of goals, Pescara. They just escaped relegation last season. I think if they've smarts about them, they'll be looking at this going, right, take our 3 points here. So, yeah.
For as long as they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll score on the counter, but yeah, you wouldn't.
Yeah. So I think we stay clear of that one. I think that the Belgian game could be another one. I haven't been watching it as detailed as the Pescara game. Got Inverness 2-0 up, Lee. That's in the bag.
That's a lovely double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So we could be on to an absolute humdinger of a Friday here if 1 or 2 more things come in for us.
Yeah, I think it's all going to hinge on that Union, John.
Yeah.
So
And the way things panned out, maybe I'd have been better if I hadn't edited that bet at the last second. Just much rather be sitting on Hertha now than on Union.
Yeah.
I actually checked it when we just sent them on, that if we'd included Inverness and Go Ahead, I think it was 99-1 with Hertha, and then I think it was a little bit little bit more with Union, but we'd taken out Inverness at that stage. Tantalising one sitting out there.
Yeah, listen,
I think
any win at this stage would do, you know.
Yeah, I think we'll dive into the stats here because these games have gone very quiet and there's a lot of half times out there. So PK can join in when we get back.
Well, if you want, I could do this rugby because I got cut off there with that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's
just give PK a chance back.
The boss cut you off, Slats. I apologise on his behalf.
You're great. No, one thing that kind of just jumped out at me was so this Autumn Nations Cup has been going on. There's kind of been two pools, and it was a round robin in the two pools, and now it kind of I was looking at it going, these are the most pointless games ever. Rather than having so the winners of each pool are playing each other for the championship or whatever you want to call it, for the winner of the tournament. But then the second in each pool, third place in each pool, and fourth place in each pool is playing each other as well. And they're the games I was kind of thinking they're absolutely pointless. But if there's an international on, they would have all of the teams' weekends empty in case they got to the finals. So, rather than them doing nothing for the weekend, I suppose they might as well play another match. Fiji had an old bout of COVID for the whole tournament, so they haven't played a game yet. So they technically finished last in their pool, and that's putting them against Georgia in that 4v4 match. I don't know if any saw the Georgia-Ireland game. Ireland were very poor, but Georgia, they're strong. They've a decent scrum, they've a decent set piece. Strong lads.
Ireland look very ordinary, really.
Yeah, they did, and how much of that was Georgia putting it up to them, or were Ireland just that bad? But Fiji haven't played a game in God knows how long, and they're 1-5 to win it. Georgia 7-2. I just kind of think, you might fancy a small wager on that at 7-2. I could see Georgia giving them a go. Based on what I've seen so far. Fiji are a decent side for throwing the ball around, and the type of rugby they play. They could just have a good game. They could just get around Georgia. They could run rings around them, and Georgia find them hard to stop. But it's also a style of game you need players to be gelling well, and you need to be kind of playing a bit, for that stuff to stick, for those sort of offloads, and kind of high risk running game to actually work. So yeah, I fancy Georgia at 7-2 for a small wager there. Aside from that, I was saying to you the last day that France are basically in a reserve team against England. England were -15 to begin with. It went out to -17. I actually thought that spread would drift further, but it stayed now at -17. But I still just think England are a good price at that. I think France were the only team to beat them in the last Six Nations.
And why are France playing a reserve team, Slats, do you know?
So they made an agreement with the clubs. It's not like the IRFU in Ireland, where the IRFU controls the system for clubs in Ireland. It's more like the Premier League, where they have to come to an agreement with the English FA to release players for international duty. So they came to some agreement to release a few for the autumn games, and then it seems like they just miscalculated or whatever they did. They only were releasing them for 2 or 3 games, but certainly they had a reserve team playing against Italy last week, and it's the same thing. They're missing all of their players. I think what was the stat? I think their pack against Italy last week had 13 caps between them, whereas England's pack between them had 360 caps between them. So there's just a massive gap in talent and experience and
yeah, I know.
And the way rugby's gone now as well, you might get away with an inexperienced backline, but I think an inexperienced front five at least is just going to get decimated.
Absolutely, that's the thing. They'll be getting killed in the scrum, killed in the line out, killed at the breakdown especially. And I kind of think England will be out for blood as well. They'd love a massive win, even though it's against a weakened team. They'd love to just come out of that tournament they won the Six Nations but lost Paris. They'd love to come out of that tournament beating everyone and hammering France in the final. So I don't think they're going to go easy. They're playing a full strength team. I think 17 points is handy enough there. And then the Ireland-Scotland game is kind of a tough one to call after Ireland being so poor against Georgia. Just a 10-point spread in it. which seems about right. I could see Scotland beating that spread. I think Ireland would beat them, but it's going to be tight. So the bet I was looking at there was for a winning margin. So the handicap is 10 points. You know, the bookies tend to be good enough at picking these. Talked about it before.
They have a rough idea what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. But so Ireland to win by 1 to 12 points. So, you know, Ireland are 2 to 9 to win, so they're expected to win. But for them to win by 1 to 12 points, which gives you the spread as well, like it's 17 to 10. So I just think, you know, that value.
That seems weird.
Yeah, that's like a mistake almost.
Yeah, doesn't it? I mean, obviously Ireland could win by 15 or 20 points, and you know, you're losing that. But considering the spread is 10, so you're getting Scotland having a go off them. You're getting a scoreline finishing a couple of points either side of that spread, or Ireland scraping win. In the Six Nations in Dublin, when Ireland, I mean, probably on similar form, maybe slightly better form, but it was, you know, after Farrell had taken over and all that, we beat them by 7 points. But like,
the spread is 1 to 12. The range is 1 to 12.
Ireland to win by 1 to 12 points, yeah. So that's inclusive of 12.
That's mad.
Yeah, and that's 17 to 10.
Yeah, I thought it seemed like good money.
That seems like
and
a
then
banker. Like I'd nearly just roll our money onto that. Like,
well, speaking of rolling, I mean, that's the group. I've no comment on it.
I don't know. I think a 17 to 10 is a bit high for our rolling banker. The idea with the rolling banker is that it's a kind of a guaranteed.
Yeah, two early Irish tries and we're 14 and up.
You just told me that it was guaranteed. So.
I just think it seems. I think there's much more value in that than just back in Ireland at 2 to 9. For that gap.
Like what's it? It's even money. Ireland plus 10.
Minus 10.
Or minus 10.
Ireland minus 10, yeah.
So, like, as you said, Ireland winning kind of 11, 12 points is what's expected. So, like, you think that Ireland win by 14 points or whatever, that would be 17 to 10, not by them to come within a point or two of the spread. Like, it just seems a strange to me.
Ireland to win by 13 plus is 11 to 10, like, yeah. And you would think that would be the less likely of those two scenarios, giving you the spread of 10. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Welcome back, PK.
It's not often you see those angles anyway. So.
Yeah, well, guys, did we get any in-play bet on at any stage?
Yeah, we got another Pescara goal, or another goal in that game just before Pescara scored their second.
That's on the rolling bank, was it?
Yeah. So we got 100 on it, 1.24.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Nice little 24% return on our investment.
Being knocked by Union Berlin, so.
Well, it doesn't look. Bilbao aren't up to much either, so we need a couple of.
But while those games are still at half time, Gary, you've prepared a little bit of a stat analysis for us here. We're going to take a quick look at.
Yeah, so like this kind of the start of it, so they're not by no means the finished product, but. Again, some of the feedback we kind of had was around using our backgrounds and bankers, etc., to look at kind of stats angles. So I've basically taken it upon myself to look at performance of teams after they've played in Europe during the week, so a midweek European game, and what impact that has on their performance in the next domestic game.
And it's a much quoted phenomenon. So we're going to find out if there's any truth to it, but it's definitely something we hear a lot, in the papers or the Sky Sports and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I checked around. I did like a couple of Googles and stuff, and I couldn't find any ready-made stats on it. So I had to go about kind of doing it myself. So basically, I've taken the top 7 teams, and over the last 3 seasons. So I haven't included. Well, I have a separate stats done for the games this season. So the 4 or 5 games the teams have played this season. But over the last 3 seasons, essentially 56% of the next games end in a victory for those teams. Around 24% is the it ends in a draw and 20% losses. So, like, there looks to be an angle in terms of teams playing Europe and not doing as well in their next games. If you take City and Liverpool out of it, okay, so like obviously Liverpool last year where like they didn't have a loss in any of their games after Europe. They had one draw, but there was, and I haven't included that draw in the stats because there was a 3-month gap because of COVID. So Liverpool played in Europe, and then the COVID lockdown happened. So then the next game they played was in May or something. So it was like a March to May or March to June.
I think that's a fair one to exclude.
So yeah, so excluded that. So
they play somewhere like Italy or something like that, and then they were talking about, you know, all the fans bringing it back into the UK.
Oh, it was Atletico Madrid went to Liverpool.
Sorry. So the travelling fans coming over with it.
Yeah. So I didn't include the like that Liverpool draw against Everton, like because of the COVID situation. So their 100% record obviously skews the stats upwards last season. And the same for City. If you think of City 2 seasons ago, the 2017 and 2018 season, they had unbelievable like players. You know, they were winning all around them, and they were winning Premier League games 3 or 4-0. So again, that season skews the stats. They played 10 games in Europe. They won 9 and lost 1 in their league games afterwards. So really, City and Liverpool over the last 3 seasons, City are running around 78.5% of their games they win, and Liverpool are 71.5% of the games they win. But if you look outside of those teams, so taking Chelsea, for example, Chelsea only win 41% of their games after Europe. Now, when you think about it, like, you know, when Chelsea are going in to games against the likes of, you know, Bournemouth, who would have been in the league, Brighton, probably West Ham, especially when they're at home, they're going in at 4-6. You know, that kind of be the average price, I would say. So you're starting to see value then in saying, well, you know, there's a 60% chance that this game isn't going to end in a Chelsea victory. And then similarly, Tottenham 44%. Wolves, who it was their first season in Europe last season, they ended up with a 46% record, but a lot of their losses came early on when they had to deal with it. So, like overall, I think there's an angle there, but we need to refine the stats a little bit to get to a basis of when it is. So it's hard to get all the data together and hard to be able to chop and change the data. But what I want to do now is look at where we have a team that are playing at home on a Wednesday night, at home on a Tuesday night. Do they do better than a team that's playing away on a Wednesday night? So let's say United are playing at home to, I don't know, Lazio on a Tuesday, and Liverpool are away to Atletico Madrid on a Wednesday. Does that travel impact the Liverpool result over the Man United result? Is there a correlation between how the teams get on in Europe? So, in that scenario, if United won and Liverpool lost, are United buoyed going into the weekend and continue that winning streak, or do Liverpool look to bounce back? So looking at those angles, and then also my stats include games against each other. So if you look at this weekend, Arsenal and Tottenham both played in Europe this week, and then they're playing each other on Sunday. So is including that result in the stats useful or not? Or should you do against just non-European teams to get the full benefit of it? Because, you know, are you really getting the angle if both of them have played midweek would be the question. So there's a little bit of refining to do, but I suppose just to finish up on the stats. So overall, 56.13% was the average over the last 3 seasons for winning. But if you take the average for just the games this season, it's 55%. So like the last 3 seasons correlate very well to this season's results already. And I said, if you look across the board, sorry, there's fireworks going outside my house, and I have no idea
Someone
why.
moved the bag that since last week.
I was going to say, I was assuming that was Clondalkin, but no, it isn't.
Gunshot. I'm not even. I'm not even
why the
flinching.
fireworks are going off. But yeah, no. So 55% of the game, there's a good correlation there. The thing that sticks out this season is there has been more draws than other seasons. So it's run at about 30%. So a little bit higher from the draw perspective. But yeah, I said this is just initial analysis. There's a lot more to be done on it, but I said open to your thoughts and anybody who's watching in kind of on how to refine the stats more, and what particular angles we should be looking at.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone watching, just comment and just let us know what you think. My first thought on it, Gary, would be kind of squad rotation. So you take we mentioned that Arsenal Vienna match last night, and there's probably only 3 players at most from that 11 that will be playing on Sunday against Spurs. That might be very different to United, who probably have the opposite. Probably be 8 of the 11 will play again this weekend against West Ham. So that's obviously going to have a huge impact on. You would expect it would have a big impact if there is any correlation between playing midweek and playing at the weekend.
Yeah,
you'd expect that.
And what you were saying about
chance, though, right? Because
what you were saying about Liverpool and City. Sorry, PK, just that like, that they were skewing the stats, but do they? In those periods, did they have bigger, stronger squads that they were capable of changing players around and still compete?
Definitely, yeah. Squad depth does a lot to do with it, I'd imagine, especially being in Europe. Like the likes of Leicester and that wouldn't have as deep a squad, so I think you'll find it has a bigger impact on them than others, right? Because
absolutely, yeah, and they could be the teams to lay because they still might be an odds-on favourite playing at home, but they'll be not decimated, but certainly more fatigued from the European action.
Yeah, well, given Leicester's form too, losing to Fulham and now losing last night to Denki Ukrainian side, I'd be laying them out.
Yeah, so I didn't include Leicester in my analysis because they hadn't really got European form over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, just
they were in the Champions League a few years ago or whatever. So the 7 I did were Liverpool, City, Tottenham, Chelsea, United, Arsenal, and Wolves. So yeah, I haven't included every team that's played in Europe, but I take your points. Like they are good points. I don't know whether there's definitely a lot of different angles to look at here. The big thing is getting the raw data. So I'm gonna have a search now to see where I can get that data, and also I want to bring it back more than 3 years. So it'd be good to have if you could get 10 years of data handy, so you could just follow it through and see is there an actual trend there, and to
be honest, I'd also find it interesting to prove out that there isn't a trend there, because it is something that you hear people saying, they were in Europe, are they going to be able to do the job now this weekend? It is something that people kind of allude to without the backup, just kind of the kind of concept, like, they'll probably be fatigued. So even if you put as many of the stats together and as many different different bits into it, if it proves that there isn't any difference, it'd be good to disprove that kind of expectation as well.
Yeah, and I suppose the last thing that I forgot to mention that I didn't get a chance to do up, what I was going to do was look at, take Man United, okay? Last season they had 4 draws and 2 losses. But what percent in games after Europe? But what percentage of those of their overall draws and losses was that? So were they the only 4 draws and 2 losses that they had all season, or is that 4 draws out of 15 and 2 losses out of 20 or whatever? So they just have a really, really bad season where the European side doesn't come into it, or is it actually a trend in their season that they're only having these blips when there's a European game inside?
When there's European on, yeah. That's
Like,
probably a crucial one. Like, is it reflective of their overall season, or does it go against it? Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
while you
go
were
on,
giving that,
Hertha.
Gary,
Sorry, go on.
remember we said on Wednesday, just as a Friday fun bet, I'd probably look at Anderlecht and both teams to score.
I've just seen that.
2-1 up now as well. So we didn't. I'm not backed it. I haven't backed it actually, but
Also,
Hertha have gone 3-1.
yeah,
Hertha
I didn't
2-1
even
up
see
as well.
Hertha going up 2-1.
3-1 up.
Now they're winning 3-1.
3-1 up,
Yeah. I mean, the second goal was terrible deflection and bad defending, but the third goal was also terrible defending. I mean, all 3 goals have been Hertha or have been Union Berlin poor play, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they just went to shit after getting a man sent off. Would have been interesting to see 11v11 and see if we could have held on, but
Yeah, I mean, they'd be disappointing goals. Like, they're down to 10, but still.
At the same time, like I think the bet is justified by the fact that they, you called an away win. They were winning, and they got a red card. Like, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
looking decent.
Yeah.
It seems like a decent show.
Yeah.
held that
I mean,
6-5, man.
Yeah, like on the stats, Gary, like I don't know how much, like in terms of fatigue from playing during the week. I mean, like when you look at the championship here, like they're playing pretty much 2 games a week all season, whether you're talking cup games, championship games, like.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing though. All teams kind of have that in the championship. It's a tight season and it's really, really, really long. Whereas
Yeah,
a lot of the teams in the middle of the Premiership don't have the extra games, right? So, there's a correlation as to like who to go back and play, like because Chelsea could be playing whatever. I don't know who they're playing this week. I can't remember. But like they're playing a team that's had a full week off.
Chelsea, I was just going to point that out. Chelsea are playing Leeds at 8 o'clock on Saturday.
I mean, that could be a big factor because Leeds are relentless, right? Leeds, literally the most running team in the league. Like they're literally relentless, and Chelsea could be slightly fatigued. Some of their starters from playing their 3rd game in a week.
I don't know. Like they're professionals. Like, I mean, 3 days recovery after a game.
Yeah,
I think it's more than just physical tiredness, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely like preparing for the match itself, and then even just like mental concentration. Like Leeds will have had, 8 or 9 days or 7 days anyway to prepare for this game. Chelsea won't have been looking at it at all, and then they kind of, especially the teams in the Champions League, it's such a high for the players, and then you come down and it's a bum away trip down to the south coast or something. It just doesn't have the same lift. So it's not that they necessarily are physically worn out. It's just that they don't.
I don't know. Like, I mean, professionals, like that's what they're about. Like Leeds are just training all week, no intensity probably or low intensity. I mean, for me, it's about consistency and keeping up momentum and stuff like that. Like playing live games.
Yeah, but
So you think it's a myth, Lee, that teams perform worse after Europe than their average?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't see it as being like I can't see playing. Yeah, I mean,
but it's not just playing the game. Like it's not as if they're playing in Stamford Bridge every day or down the local park. Like Chelsea played Sevilla midweek. Obviously in Spain, so they had to fly to Spain, play Wednesday. They're getting back probably 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning into probably Heathrow. Then the players would all live down in Surrey, so there's an hour drive for the players home. So players are getting in at 3 a.m. They probably don't train Thursday because they've just got home at 3 a.m. They're in Friday, their body clocks are all fucked up. Then they're ready to play Saturday at 8 o'clock, whereas a team has had, full kind of schedules around eating patterns and, things like that. So I think it's more than just the physical aspect of the 90 minutes. It's the kind of unseen stuff coming into it and
preparation for that game.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just don't think that's all as big. Like, I mean, what are you expecting to find from doing this? Like, do you have what's? Well, like, do you think there's an impact, or what? Like, what's your thought process going into it?
I looking at these stats, I think that you have to look at each team like individually. Yeah. Because I said Liverpool and Man City just seem to be they seem to be able to cater for it, whether that's size of the squads or whatever it is, but they're able to cater for it. But the other teams just clear kind of blips when they play in Europe. So like as I said, Chelsea in 2018, 2019, they had 6 draws after they played in Europe. and they only had
And
9
you were-
draws all season that season.
And you were saying that City's quality and Liverpool's quality in that season was so much greater than who they'd be playing on average after his Champions League night, that kind of offset any fatigue or any issues from the game. They were just so much better that they could overcome that easier with a big squad.
They just were kind of you have to take it that some teams, like Barcelona 10 years ago, when they had peak Messi and everyone, they were just better than everybody else, so they could do they were letting the ball do the work for them. They weren't getting fatigued. They were on a high. There was no real angle to be had there. But I think teams that are struggling for rhythm and form, the likes of Chelsea, the likes of United, the likes of Arsenal, Wolves, they're the ones you have to be hitting. So look at these stats. Chelsea are 1-2 tomorrow. But over the last
I was looking at that.
seasons,
Leeds are 6-4 double chance, which that might be the best kind of look.
Yeah, that's it.
That sounds like a great bet.
Or just lay Chelsea at 1-2, because 60% of the time over the last three seasons, Chelsea haven't won when they've faced a team after Europe. So
taking double chance is the same as laying.
Same bet,
Same.
Yeah. And come here, just about Klopp's interview last week, where he went on a bit of a fucking crusade when he was getting interviewed, right? When they had the midday kickoff, was it?
And
was his point that they were playing at midday rather than 3 or 5 o'clock, or that they were playing on Saturday at all?
Midday.
So to him, it actually made a difference, the fact that they were playing at midday versus 5 o'clock potentially,
that
couple of hours difference.
Comes back to, travel time, eating patterns, everything like that. So he was saying recovery as well, the 2-hour difference. So I think Gary Neville,
the thing is, everything they do is so scientific, and they look at it. If you got a 36-hour window or a 56-hour window, they'll be getting told by the medical staff, the dietitians, what the team are meant to do in that meantime. So obviously, if you trim a few hours off each side, it just probably curtails one extra session or one extra walkthrough or something like that.
I mean, they probably do have their after game routine planned out, 48 hours, 72 hours after a game. That fucking recovery,
But would they have flown down? The night before or the morning of, or what? It makes a huge difference.
Right? That's another thing. Newcastle are playing Southampton. How are they getting to Southampton? Are they spending 5 hours on it?
No, they fly.
They fly.
Even the London teams would fly to Newcastle. Sometimes they'll fly to Manchester. They really will.
It's like a 10-hour round drive, right? Isn't it? Some of them, so wouldn't make sense. That's it.
I actually saw.
You could imagine if they flew down to Brighton in the morning, which they may have, then their rest time is minimal, and preparation time in the morning is just, it does. I think it has to be a factor.
Have they ever asked players this? Has there ever been an interview where a player has been asked, how do you feel after a fucking Champions League midweek European game? Do you feel any?
Most players, in fairness, just give the script, the vanilla answer to every question. Thank my team. Thank the staff. Just by the way, just pause this for 1 second. While you were talking, Gary, Almere went 1-0 down and they've gone 2-1 up. There's been 3 goals in the last sort of 6 or 7 minutes there.
Yeah, when they went 1-0 down, I didn't really want to interrupt. I was kind of thinking there's definitely going to be another goal here. Almere aren't just going to sit back losing 1-0.
Yeah, we should have looked for an in-play one there, but Celta Vigo have taken the lead against Atletico though, which is unfortunate.
Disgusting.
Yeah, we looked at Marseille at nearly the same odds, so that they're 1-0 up. It's coin toss, but anyway. Yeah, I'd say
keep rubbing it in there a bit. Cheers.
My double that I did of Camber and Almere both to win, they both went down 1-0 and Camber 1-2-1 and Almere back to 2-1 now.
So basically we're down to another goal in Ascoli Pescara for the bank.
Oh, do we have the rolling bank on another goal in that game?
Oh yes.
No. Do we?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, I think we kind of discussed that game could be finished like that,
Oh, yeah.
So did we not put the bank on in the end? Sorry, I must have missed it.
No, we put the bank on one more when it was 1-0, but not a 2-0.
Aha. Okay.
And that won.
We won that. We won 25 or 24% of our investment.
Well, are we going to stick it on something else for the remainder, or are we going to?
We could
Yeah,
do.
I mean,
they are
let's
still
keep them-
showing Atletico is 0-0, and the cash out is still reflecting a 0-0.
Surely the cash out of 0 with Union down 3-1.
No, that is a different bet.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the North London Derby at the weekend?
Well, hold on, sorry, just to round off the stats, right?
Oh.
Yeah, go back to that just for a sec. Yeah.
So, like, I don't basically the conclusion I'd have at the minute is that it's up in the air and needs more analysis. So I need to refine it. So, Slats, I think you are volunteering to give me a hand refining it. So I'll do some work to get a better data set. We can combine them, and then next week we'll give everybody an update. Anybody watching in, if you have any suggestions, drop a comment on the video or get in touch on our social media, and we'll include those kind of pieces of analysis in it. We'll look at it over the next couple of weeks. So I think it's a little bit early to be drawing a full conclusion and to be putting bets on. But I'm going to counteract that with my treble based on the initial analysis would be the draw.
Jump in.
The draw on West Ham United tomorrow. The double chance Leeds tomorrow, and the draw in Tottenham Arsenal. So I'm going to stick a tenner on that. It's 32-1, and if it wins, it'll give me a bit more motivation to get stuck into these stats.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what you said there, the draw in the Spurs Arsenal game, is probably a good call. That Arsenal, Spurs are definitely in the better form, but they played more the Spurs team from the other night you're going to see on Sunday. I think Lacazette's probably the only one. El Nenny's probably a 50-50 between him and Jack or Ceballos. So I think that Lacazette only played half the match, so it's basically a fully fresh squad for Arsenal, and it's not for Spurs.
So Arsenal have done that a couple of times this season, Liam, and because I remember watching the match before. I don't think it was even Dundalk. I was watching a match before that. I'm not sure which team they were playing against. It might have been Molde, yeah. Where did Molde go 1-0 up? And Arsenal came back? Yeah, so that game. And Arsenal have played 4 games in Europe, but they've only won 1 game in the Premiership after playing it, and they've lost 3 of them. So,
but I wonder if that's what you said about, if you look at their kind of trend line, regardless of Europe, they've barely won a game in the last 2 months anyway, so it's not that those losses are flips.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's just it's something to get dug into anyway. But I do fancy the draw in that game. So I said I'm going to put that treble on, and fingers crossed get a run out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the story with Joseph Hart? He's starting goal tomorrow for Spurs. Is he? What's the crack with Lloris? Didn't travel.
He started last night, but I don't know if he's starting at the weekend, is he?
I heard he was going to be starting. Well, I read today he was going to be starting at the weekend.
Lloris has to be injured, though.
He always seems kind of mentally weak, or like kind of a wobbler, doesn't he, Lloris?
Big time.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I don't know. It seems like a weird one. Hart just disappeared for a while, and now all of a sudden he's getting thrown in.
Hart's a terrible goal.
He's doing those head and shoulder.
I don't like him now. He was too busy doing his ad for Head and Shoulders.
Yeah,
probably. He was everywhere.
The season he had at West Ham, he couldn't save it, especially from outside the box. He couldn't save a shot.
Is he a good goalkeeper or what?
No, I didn't rate him that season. I thought coming to West Ham, he'd be good. Now he is a massive presence. He's fucking joined. He was 7 foot, but he just. Any shots that were coming in, he just didn't look like saving them. So
did he have one of those moments for England where a shot from distance coming at him and he should have just, held it and it went through his legs or something?
I think every goalkeeper that's ever played for England has one of those.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just going, is that just standard?
But Hart, he seems like for me, he's always been, he's obviously a confident fella, but he's always been way more confident than what his fucking ability, than he should be for me. I don't know.
They seem to produce, Pickford is the same. Pickford had a few and then his arrogance is just, his confidence / arrogance went through the roof, and you're like,
most of those both of them came in. Like, Pickford was 18 or something he basically single-handedly kept. I don't even know whether he kept them up, but he gave them a chance of staying up at Sunderland one season. When he was pulling off save after save, and same with Hart. I think Mark Hughes is the manager and stuck Hart in goal, and he just had an unreal spell, So I assume.
I think there's different types of keepers are suited to different types of teams and different types of sort of game. Like, if you're the sort of keeper that's going to be getting 7 or 8 shots on your goal every game, and you save 5 or 6 of them, you look super. That's not the same type of keeper that Juventus are going to need, where he's going to spend 85 of the 90 minutes doing absolutely nothing, but needs to have the concentration for a dodgy back pass or something. Like, I know it was very clear with Arsenal, they had keepers who were terrible, and then they go to another team who played a very different style of football, and Szczesny, Fabianski, Almunia, they were all much more impressive when they left because the team was a different type of team. And I think Pickford definitely, that type of game suited him, where he's just throwing himself left and right every few minutes to save. Then he goes to Everton, and now he needs to be more of a kind of a thinking keeper. And it just, he doesn't think, and he makes a lot of mistakes. So I think the setup kind of impacts them.
To be instinctive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking, again, just throwing it into Google here, shot saves percentage 2019-2020, Hugo Lloris nearly 80%, Alisson down to 73, Ederson 73, Emiliano Martinez 81. I mean,
we talked about that. Me and Gary are in another WhatsApp group. I actually can't remember who the guy who was saying when Villa went in to buy Martinez, and he was made a few kind of comments about him. Why would you buy him just because he cried on TV? He's not a very good keeper at all. He's definitely in the top 5 keepers in England without a doubt. And I think he's in a great signing for Villa, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
He's definitely shored up your back line,
Yeah.
And
it makes such a fucking difference, Jesus Christ. In terms of organisation of a back line, I mean, I'm sure every keeper at the Premiership level is vocal and fucking organising lads, but
it's a difference. You can learn to be loud and shout, but it doesn't mean that you're good at it. Do you know what I mean? There's some keepers are they see it much more clearly. If you think of,
it's so important for a keeper, even shouting into midfield, they're the only player who, I mean, I know defenders see it all the time, but goalkeepers literally see the whole pitch all the time. And for much of the play, they don't have to be focusing 100% until it kind of gets in and around the box. Obviously they need to be aware of long shots and stuff, but other players might be more focusing on their own position. A keeper, a vocal keeper who's speaking sense, is so fucking important. I don't know. I've never actually. I kind of thought you'd get more of an insight into how players are communicating on the pitch with the fans not being there. When I've been watching the games, you obviously hear stuff, but you don't hear it as clearly as a kind of hope.
Oh yeah,
that's a really interesting point as well. About how they're communicating at that level on the pitch.
The thing I've noticed actually from watching a lot of it is that they don't communicate as much as you think. I'm not sure if they're on some sort of if they're on the same level mostly and they don't need to do it, but it just isn't there a lot of the time.
No,
I don't think if they're on the same level and they don't need to. I don't think that. I wouldn't agree with that being the case. I think the best 11 players on the planet still need to communicate with each other.
I'm not saying you're zero.
I mean, language comes into it as well. How many if you're taking I don't obviously when it's instinctive. You have a split second, right? And you'd imagine these teams are communicating in English. If a guy doesn't have a great level of English, what's going to be his ability to communicate a message in English at fucking an instant second? You know what I mean?
I think that's definitely a part of it. And you see them, you might be just inclined to just say nothing because you can't think of it quick enough in the other language.
Exactly,
you don't want to shout it in French or Spanish. You remember, I don't know what they nowadays, but I know back with Ferguson and Wenger and that era, and they used to make a big point of making the players only speak to each other in training and in the dressing room in English. And I don't think the modern managers seem to do it because a lot of the players can't speak English and you never hear them speaking it. And I wonder, is that one of those things that, it's in the players feel happier about it because you're not forcing them out of their comfort zone, but longer term, you sort of pay the price for it a bit.
In my head, the teams that are hard working and organised sides have to communicate more, right? By definition, teams that are more established with better quality players who have that more instinctive game. They're just linking up because they're fucking high quality players. Don't rely on it that much.
Well. Like, obviously, training sessions has a lot to do with that too, right? And then being in sync and just knowing each other's game, right? So, but yeah, it's definitely. It was one thing that I was really like taken aback by when we were getting the no fan soccer and you could hear the pitches. It's just like I would have thought you'd hear a lot more communication on the pitch. Maybe they were aware of that though too, like that is quieter.
I wonder, like, is there an element of the sound being edited that comes out? They're very kind of, there's no microphones pitch side, or maybe they've just turned them down. They're not using them as much, and it's just the ref whistle that we're hearing because they're very conscious. Certainly with the Premier League, they're very, very careful about.
I mean, it's very annoying hearing like people in the studio or whoever apologising for language that comes across a fucking microphone during a game. You're like, Jesus Christ! I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's so.
The one as well. A law? I think it might be a law somewhere that they have to do it. Because I've seen people complain about it, but I agree. Like especially late.
There's complaints about it.
Yeah, but some of the stuff is so like we've talked before about. All sports TV now is getting so PC and stuff. Like the one I was watching the Wolves game where Jimenez got injured, right? And it was, terrible, but he's good. He's fine now. And, best luck, best wishes to him. Hopefully he makes an absolute full recovery. I'd say there was 25 times in the game where the commentator said, obviously the Wolves went 1-0 up, got paid back. They went 2-1 up. And he's like, great result for Wolves. They're back on track. And then he kind of paused like, obviously everybody associated with the club is more concerned about the health of Jimenez. And you're like, the fans would have moved on for the rest of the game. Obviously, afterwards they'll have, but they just kept going on and on. You're like, man, you don't need to do this because I don't know. It just felt way too much, and I think everything has gone a bit like that now.
Yeah, they're afraid that they're not saying enough, so they end up overcompensating.
Yeah.
It was just bizarre.
And I mean, like in the NFL or whatever, like in fairness, someone goes off with a neck injury or something like proper. I know Jimenez's injury was like very serious, but like. You don't hear the same. Like it's in the moment. You acknowledge it, and then you move on. Right?
That's it. You have to move on. Like,
and then afterwards, in the post-match analysis, talk all about it. But it was kind of like, I don't know. It just seemed a lot. Yeah, the fans are back now in the stadiums. I saw that on the Thursday night games. That's a sight for sore eyes, I think.
It's gonna be weird, isn't it? Like for the first while, seeing fans in a like. I mean, I think.
I think it's going to be weirder seeing like it's sparsely populated than it is seeing it empty. Like 4,000 fans in the Emirates yesterday. I didn't watch the game. I'm not sure where it looked but like 4,000 fans in the London Stadium.
There's only 2,000. There was only 2,000 out at the Emirates.
Oh, is it? Okay, 2,000. Like, I mean, when there's 60,000 people in the London Stadium and it gets to 85th minute or whatever, and a couple of thousand leave early, like you can just see the gaps in the seats and stuff. And it looks horrible.
Yeah.
So it's just gonna.
I don't know
really strange, like
what the other stadiums had, but in the Emirates they had every third seat you could sit in, and then 2 empty ones, and they had like these big plastic X's written on them, like a big red banner with an X, and it was like. It looked like you'd see out of those old movies about the communism era. You can't be here, and it just people in straight lines. It was so bizarre to see the lineouts. But
how are they issuing those tickets? Like, I mean, I'm sure the demand is pretty high. Like, what's a
lottery with season ticket holders? So it was kind of 3 levels of season tickets. There was 500 of these, 400 of those, whatever it was. And then
are you a season ticket holder, LB?
No.
And what, you didn't sign up for the Hammers again? No. When was that? That wasn't last season? The season before when you had the season ticket?
2 seasons ago, yeah.
I have the West Ham season ticket.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the ballot.
But you didn't. Did you enter the ballot or no?
I didn't enter it. No. I wouldn't really have an interest in going to that kind of soulless ground. Do you know that way? I mean, I would have an interest, but.
Do you mean soulless, like the stadium, or there's only 5,000 people in it?
But only like 2,000 people or whatever in it. Like I don't think I'd enjoy it.
No.
So I said.
But was it good practice? Like when it was full, like was it like the atmosphere for West Ham in that stadium? Like was it Was it good?
Tomorrow night, like a 5:30 against a big team like United would be good. The like 12:30 and 3 o'clock games sometimes can leave a bit to be desired. But it's like that in most, like myself and Liam have talked about this a lot. Like a lot of the English atmospheres are kind of overrated compared to European atmospheres.
Yeah,
you go to like Italy or go to Spain or Germany or whatever, France, like the atmospheres are class the whole way through, no matter where teams are winning or losing or what time of day it is. I think the English grounds have lost a bit of that.
I think the setup is too controlled.
Too controlled, and it's too.
They've had to control it to kind of the violence and stuff, but it's got very sanitized now, and
And English clubs don't really have like an ultra scene, do they? Like,
no, they wouldn't.
It's like Celtic's developed over the last 10 years, and they've got a bit continental and how they go about it, the Green Brigade and stuff. But like, there doesn't seem to be that level of organ. Like, I know clubs have official supporters clubs and stuff, and you have.
No, it's kind of frowned upon in England to do that. The ultra culture doesn't.
But even like Crystal Palace organise their fans. They wouldn't even be ultras, but they kind of have the fans very organised. And there's always when people say, "Oh, they've got good fans, but they're organised." It's always thrown in as a caveat. It's like, but it is a shame because
Palace. I do like the Palace. The good atmosphere down there.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. I mean, you can barely see the pitch, but the atmosphere is fantastic. Yeah.
Why can you barely see the pitch? There'll be some flares or something.
No, holes in your way, like
holes.
I'll send you on a picture of my view. Palace one year spent, I think, 35 quid on a ticket, and I'd say I could see a fifth of the pitch. Like, it's an absolute disgrace.
We were there, and we were there with a colleague from work, a good friend of ours. This man knows how to drink, and I wouldn't be a stranger to it, but he sitting beside him. I was so drunk by half time. I went into work on the Monday after being sitting beside him at the match. And I was like, "Oh, Palace had a good win at the weekend." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, did you watch it?" He was like, "Sit beside you." I was like, "Oh my God." He forgot it.
He's obviously a good fella to go out on a drinking session with. You don't even remember he was there.
Well, after he said it, of course, I could remember the whole thing, but I just completely.
We started drinking at London Bridge at about 10 a.m. though. That was the
yeah.
So come here. Where would you say, like, you've been to a good few games in London at this stage? Like, where would you say is the best, like, big team to go for a day? Like, it's obviously not Fulham's the only kind of London match I've ever been to.
Fulham is very polite. Like, Palace is probably, if you were to go for atmosphere of the London teams I've been to, Palace.
Yeah, like the old Upton Park atmosphere was really good. Palace is good. I used to go to QPR games. They've a really small ground, and the atmosphere down there is good. The best atmospheres I've been to have been Wolves and Aston Villa though. Their fans are class, like really, really loud. So yeah, but in London probably Palace.
What was that, away against West Ham?
Away West Ham, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like it is, like it's fucking. I mean, but it is it's just like Europe's not as like when I going to the games in Poland. You've been to them as well. Like when it's like one of the things like before you go, like you think, oh, Polish football is red hot a little bit, but like actually even that is like the atmosphere is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's not as treacherous as you think it actually is, you know what I mean? I think you might have been to games in Serbia and places like that maybe as well.
One time I did feel slightly uncomfortable was at a game in Split in Croatia, and they thought I was English, and I thought I was going to, like, the fella had clenched fists, and I actually thought he was going to kill me until some other fella managed to speak in Croatian and told him that we were Irish. But like Hajduk Split it was a seriously like intense atmosphere, and it wasn't like some of the ones you're saying. Like Poland is class in the stadium, but there's no fear outside the stadium.
Yeah.
In Split, like their stadium's kind of on the outskirts of the city. I actually put a picture up for us afterwards. We can share it. You come out and you're just surrounded by high-rise flats, and it's pitch black, and it's just like a line of police. You queue up to get past them, and then there's those people standing around eyeing you up. It's like, oh my God, let's get back into the city centre.
Quick.
It was pretty. I mean, there was, it is safe. It's just kind of in the moment you kind of feel feel it. But it's good. I mean, what other ones? I think Marseille is pretty dodgy as well. I was at a match down there, and yeah, they were.
And that's for where the grounds are played rather than.
But Marseille is in the city centre, but they're just a very hostile fan base. I mean, the atmosphere in that stadium is probably the best I've ever seen. Like,
were we in that same Marseille stadium for a Munster game?
Yeah.
I mean, there was no threat of walking out of that game that was going to happen. You're like,
no.
So we were like all the Toulon fans were coming up to us telling us what great supporters Munster are and that.
Yeah. where we were sitting in that is where the ultras would be for the Marseille
down
game.
Behind one of the goals, is it down?
Yeah. Do you remember the big net that was there in front of us? The rugby that obviously feels a bit strange for a rugby match. Remember you're sitting behind a big, huge kind of wire fence net thing.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah,
that's because they obviously throw stuff.
And and then even bringing the rugby into it, like obviously, like supporting rugby is a big thing, but like the expectations from the atmosphere is completely different between the sports, right? So like who would be in a rugby sense? Like, is there any teams that have any, or am I just downplaying the whole rugby thing? But like none of them seem vociferous in support, rather pleasant and encouraging.
It's a gentleman's game, man.
Yeah, I've never heard of trouble at a rugby game in any way. Yeah,
apart from the aforementioned Liam in Canada or Cardiff.
Yeah,
we've covered that one now. I think we should move along.
The only hoodlum in rugby, and he's a gentleman actually, but
thanks.
Yeah,
Liam Brown, the rugby hooligan.
The rugby hooligan. Is that going to be the new name for this stream?
Either of those words can actually be used to describe
rugby hooligan.
God,
I explained that prison cell he's in there.
Yeah, I mean those walls actually, LB, seem to be closing around you. I don't know if you've pulled like a.
It feels like it is now, anyway. Yeah, they feel like they're closing it.
Down the back of like a courtroom, the kind of cells that they keep the lads before they're going up in front of the
like the order. Yeah.
Funnily enough, the best atmosphere I've probably ever seen at a rugby match on TV was fucking Leinster or Senior Cup final in Hebrook.
Come off it, will you? Come off it, will you?
Oh God!
That's down the old ways, was it?
Down the old ways, yeah.
Jeez, you don't know what you were doing down the old ways, I know.
None of us ever did. We went there.
You aren't there for the rugby, who were you?
No, I wasn't. No, I mean, like the best atmosphere I've ever been to was was a Celtic pre-season friendly away. I went to two, but the best. I went to three actually. I went through a phase of going to these games. The best one was in Lincoln when they played away, and there was like a lovely summer's day. But there was probably about 4,000 Celtic fans came down. Like they loved them pre-season friendlies in England when they used to have them. Like there was a big one in Newcastle as well. I think Sunderland's done that documentary, but the Lincoln one was unbelievable. And like the way that like they're all coming down from Glasgow on the bus from like 5 in the morning. They're all absolutely smashed getting off the bus, and there's thousands of them. It's great crack. But
we should actually make that a little segment on the show. Run through good away days, because they're probably the best thing about going to football matches are those trips like that.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Myself and Gary have a pretty long distance one that we got at the tail end of last season. How was it the season before? Tail end of the season before.
Yeah.
Was no tail end of last season.
Yeah.
Still going. Well, where was it?
Napoli or Naples.
Yeah.
Oh, Napoli. Oh, the long drive.
Yeah.
London to Napoli and back again via Rance.
That was a great atmosphere in there. A very kind of different. The League One atmosphere. It's much more kind of like, it's nearly a little bit more like rugby. It's kind of like fun day out. Certainly some of those teams, I feel like being in the sunshine makes such a difference to it. But that was a great atmosphere there. It wasn't like there was no edginess to it or anything, but it was really, really vocal. It was good.
What do you want, like?
Yeah, you were speaking at low level.
I
was at a Serie D game before in Siena, and I'd say there was 500 people at it. But it was so funny. Like, they obviously all knew the players personally, and they were shouting abuse at them and making jokes with the players and everything. But I had to leave after an hour because it was so hot. Like, it was just a bowl sitting in the ground. Yeah, couldn't survive the heat.
Imagine what the players are like.
They weren't doing a huge amount of moving now, in fairness to them, PK.
The mafia, like them, they weren't.
The mafia, yeah. Like it might be hipster these days, but like amateur football, and like I'm spending like the last couple of years been on Twitter a lot, like, and there's loads of people, particularly in the UK, like, you know, there's a lot of coverage of that, like, what would you call it, lower league football in the UK, non-league football.
But that's why, because
and I mean,
it's the same thing we talked about. Like, say in Italy, the Serie A is still very kind of, you know, the Wild West. You can just turn up. We were at the Sampdoria Torino game, myself and Gary, last year, or this year, earlier this year. The stadiums are wild. You know, there's all sorts of carry on and flares. Like, if people can get that out of their system, you don't get that at the Premier League. If you're standing up, there's a steward there telling you to sit back down. So people who need that kind of excitement, they can't go. There's no point in going to the Premier League, so they're going to find their outlet elsewhere. That's my theory on it.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even let you stand up in a Premier League game.
It's a crime to stand at the Premier League match. It's against the law. Yeah.
Not everyone's doing it, we're going to get picked out.
But surely if there's a goal, everyone's on their feet.
Everyone jumps up. You can't enforce that. So they all sit back down. But if you just stand up.
Back down. But if you're kind of up.
So in a lot of the stadiums, they just don't enforce it in the lower tiers. In any upper tier, you'll be told to sit down.